Of course, I'm an excellent driver. He lets me drive slow on the driveway. There's only 28 miles on the odometer since I drove it a week ago last Saturday. It should be more than 28 miles.
What is this? Who is this guy?
Raymond is your brother.
My brother? I don't have a brother.
Hello, and welcome to the Damian and Devlin Show and our review of Rain Man, the 1988 film directed by Barry Levinson, starring Dustin Hoffman, Tom Cruise, and Valerie Golina. This movie was the winner of the Best Picture that year. It won Best Picture, Screenplay, Director, and Actor for Dustin Hoffman. It also was one of those rare times that it also was the biggest blockbuster of the year. It kind of started off slow but wound up becoming the biggest movie of the year. It was a fan favorite. It was also known basically for being one of the first major theatrical films that dealt with autism. A quick story shout out, it's basically about a guy named Charlie Babbitt who's kind of a shyster car salesman who will
the word is shyster.
He's a shyster. Like,
what does that even mean?
He'll lie to get whatever he has to get.
Man.
Yeah, but shyster is a word. Okay, I'm teaching him new words as well as showing him new movies. Anyhow, Charlie basically finds out his father is dead, who he's been estranged from for several years, and he goes to the funeral, finds out at the will that he does not get his family fortune, and eventually finds out that he has a brother. He never knew about it, which of course was Dustin Hoffman, who has autism. There's a lot more. It turns out to be a road trip and learning about yourself, but you have to see it. This is one of my all-time favorite movies, and I've always wanted to share this one with Damian. So now we'll find out if he had to suffer through it or if he actually enjoyed it.
You know what? I'm kind of mixed. I'll be quite honest with you. There were a lot of things I did like about this film. Dustin Hoffman's performance is fantastic, extraordinary, and I definitely see why he was awarded the Academy Award for it. That's not surprising to me in the least. And then also on top of that, you got Tom Cruise, who does another excellent performance as well. On top of that, though, besides that, I wish the movie was just the two of them. Honestly, I really do. Because other than that, there were a lot of moments to me that I felt unnecessary. I felt that there were a lot of forgettable characters in the movie as well. And just, I'm mixed on it. It's not to say that I didn't enjoy it, but I'm mixed on it. So with regards to that, I have to start with my positives. The positives, what I just said. Dustin Hoffman, phenomenal. Like, absolutely amazing. Definitely earned that Academy Award. Now, this movie came out before I was alive, and if I were this age back then, I would have definitely vouched for that. And I would have even vouched for Tom Cruise as well, because this is a role that I've never really seen Tom Cruise in, and he, in my opinion, nails it. He comes off as a guy, a believable guy. He wants his money. And he's very self-centered, a con man, not a shyster, whatever that is, a con man. And he just plays it very well. I said to him at a very early point in the film, I said, there is not a person out there in the world that I could even think of that would not do what Tom Cruise's character tries to do. And that's manipulate the situation to get $3 million for themselves. And if you say, no, that's not me, I'm not going to believe you. I will not, because I would probably do the same. And I related to his character more than you can believe. And just the way that his character changes throughout the entire movie. He goes off from being that shady con man to, I want the money, it's all about me, to actually forming a bond with his brother. And at the end, it's kind of bittersweet with how it's left off. And it just develops so naturally. And you and I, you even pointed it out to me, he's starting to teach his brother things. Tom Cruise is teaching Dustin Hoffman certain things, and vice versa. They're teaching each other things without even trying. And it makes for some beautiful moments. Don't get me wrong, beautiful moments. There are some scenes that are so wonderfully shot, very, very emotional at times. I did feel like upset. I felt upset about certain things. And that's pretty much where it ends for me, honestly.
Well, I absolutely, as I said, it's one of my all-time favorite movies. I like it because the two acting, as Damian pointed out, are phenomenal. One of my biggest gripes about this movie is that Tom Cruise actually didn't get a Best Supporting Actor nod. And in some ways, I actually think he's the lead character in this movie. So when Dustin Hoffman got Best Actor, I just assumed Best Tom Cruise might get a nod. I just believe that Tom Cruise didn't need the Dustin Hoffman character. He had already made an engaging character that I was kind of like, I kind of like this character. But Dustin Hoffman works well playing off Tom Cruise. Dustin needed Tom where Tom didn't need Dustin. Of course, together they're perfect in the roles. But I was always felt that that was a misstep, that the Oscars never awarded him. I think this is actually one of Tom Cruise's best performances. Yes, Dustin Hoffman really nails this. And you know, for a movie that didn't deal with autism, when I first saw this, I didn't know much about it. And it was like, this is a very high savant version. There's lots of different styles. But the fact that they tackled this subject matter. I think Barry Levinson, as the director, does an incredible job with the movie. His tone in the screenplay, working with it, is great. Whenever there's an emotional scene, he doesn't just go into something laughable or enjoyable or entertaining. He actually breaks the scene up, sometimes even with silence, like scenes where we see the world from Raymond's eyes, who's the Dustin Hoffman character, and you see like them just looking out the thing, and they won't even have a soundtrack playing. And then they burst right in with the soundtrack, but they gave you that time to breathe. And I love that it's he took a really great script, but found ways that he didn't just hit you over the head with a comedic scene, then an emotional scene. He found ways to transition in them to make it a more natural flow, which I think was a perfect direction and screenplay because it feels like a road trip. There are moments where you feel like there's lulls in the story, but I think they're important lulls because they're trying to get across what Tom Cruise is going through when he has moments where he bonds with his brother, but the brother doesn't get that, or when the brother is being really annoying, but he's not trying to be annoying. That's just him. You get moments where they just take it a little extra, so you can actually understand what Charlie's going through, the Tom Cruise character. I love that. I like that they do take the moments in the film, like Dustin Hoffman takes pictures of random things, and not a big spoiler, but the end credits, they actually show the pictures he took. So I don't know if they told Dustin to take certain pics. I think they just let him go. He's a method actor, so all the pictures you see in the end are what he was taking pictures of. And it's funny because you make it a hand or a sign or a close-up of something.
A lot of blurry pictures.
A lot of blurry pictures, too. There's Valerie Golina, who she was in a couple of movies at the beginning of her career. I love, nowadays we have this thing about whitewashing. What I love about this movie is that his girlfriend is just Latin. They don't explain why. It's just a relationship, and I like that relationship because of the fact that they don't try to just, it was like they thought she was the best actress for the part. They don't mention ever her heritage in that, and I like that they don't play up the whole, it's a mixed relationship because she's Latino. She has a thick accent. I remember the first time I saw it, I had times that I had a hard time understanding her, but I love the importance of that character because she shows us what it's like to be in Charlie Babbitt's world, where he's like this guy who, I had a boss like this, so I know exactly what it's like. Charlie's good with clients. He's good with people. He can talk himself out of situations. But his girlfriend has to wait in the car. He doesn't talk on road trips with her. So she's important to define what the kind of person he is. So when Charlie has to deal with somebody who needs his attention full time, we know Charlie Babbitt's not ready for this. The soundtrack is all over the place, but I actually really love it because it seems like every time they go to a different town, they do a style of music that might be heard in that town.
I have to cut you off there. The soundtrack is it's all over the place. It's not consistent enough for me, and it's too distracting for me. But that's just me.
No, they take chances, and I feel like when they go to certain little towns, they might play an old 50s song. They might go to a country town, and you hear country and western playing. Hans Zimmer, this is one of his first big things, and he's become a great thing. He tries a little bit of everything, but I don't think it overpowers in any way. I'm sorry that you felt that way about the soundtrack. I call it a plus. I think it was very unique and different. I owned the soundtrack, and I just think they stuck in a lot of different music. It's not one of those CDs you could put in because, like, it's all different. You'd have to be really open-minded to it. So,
and normally yeah. I am open-minded when it comes to music. You know that about me. It's just some of these songs that they chose for specific scenes, in my opinion, were just way too distracting. The big one for me was when there was the scene on the highway where they were trying to get past the crash, and then they just had this very loud synthesized 80s music. It was not made by a specific band. I do believe this is one of the songs that Hans Zimmer made himself, and it just literally was so overwhelming, and it distracted from the impact that the scene was trying to make, in my opinion.
And I never even noticed there was music in it because I was watching the characters and the story develop. I couldn't even tell you what the music sounded like at that point.
Oh, it was awful synthesizer.
No, I was caring about the characters.
I tried. It was just too distracting.
Yeah. Okay,
By
what's your negatives? You might as well go into your negatives now since you're ready for it.
His girlfriend, I do believe, was Italian.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
There was a moment where Tom Cruise and her were on the phone together, and then he said he'd call her back later. We could hear her on the other end, and she said ciao, which is a very Italian thing.
I apologize if I got it wrong, but I still like that they cast somebody they didn't try to get her to hide her accent. They just went with it.
No, I agree with that. Yeah. I'm all for that as well. My negatives, the soundtrack, I'm not going to repeat myself, but it was way too distracting. I will go off of your lulls. I felt going into this, I was very open-minded. I was looking forward to it. I was hyped up. And while I did enjoy the majority of the movie, those lulls for me really dragged it on.
It's because of the world you grew up in. We liked lulls back then. Yeah.
It's possible, yeah. But I just felt it dragged on. I felt the movie felt a little bit longer than it should have been, in my opinion. And my biggest problem with this film are the forgettable characters. Besides, you got Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman, and you got Tom Cruise's girlfriend.
That's the three characters.
There's the doctor, there's the other guy that they work with who occasionally calls him on the phone, and I forgot who he was. One scene. He calls him constantly.
He's on the phone, but again, it's not a character really. He's on the other end of the phone.
He's there. They took time to introduce who he was and what he was doing, and it's just, I felt unnecessary.
You didn't think it was important to learn that Tom Cruise is fighting for his business?
I did feel that was important, but this character just shows up randomly at times, and
one time.
I don't even know if that's him talking to Tom Cruise on the phone.
Probably no. Why would you pay an actor just to have a voice?
And that's my point, is that literally these characters, besides the three, are just so forgettable. On top of that, I'm going to be vain again. The 80s style to me is just not that easy to accept. I made a point at one point during the movie. I hate 80s vehicles. They look disgusting. And I know this is not about the film, but it
never is.
It really just, I can't get past it for some reason. And that's definitely a problem with me, but I don't know what they were doing in the 80s. That's all I have to say. And then the biggest problem that I had in this film was that there's a specific scene where they stop and they go to a farmhouse. And I felt it was just so random and so unnecessary. And they let them in. Like this family that lives in the farmhouse let Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman in to watch TV. And sure, maybe that would have happened in '88. But it definitely would not happen in this day and age. And it just...
So you don't think no good happens in the world?
I do think that good happens in the world.
Like, you don't see people doing good things in the world?
Of course
and it doesn't inspire you to want to do good things?
You could tell. This Tom Cruise...
Yeah, I know, it's a little far-fetched.
He lies to her. She slams the door. She's a little freaked out by Dustin Hoffman. They start looking in the windows like maniacs, and then suddenly they let them in the house?
Tom Cruise is very charming in the scene and also says, my brother's about to have a fit right here on your thing. I think there are a lot of people that would not want to see that.
Yeah, they'd call the police.
Not in a small town like that.
I would still call the police.
All right, well, that's fair. That's fair.
And yeah, that scene just honestly for me was one of the low points of this film. There aren't a lot of low points with this film.
You make it sound like there's tons.
No,
I feel like I forced this on you in a bad way.
Not at all. Like I said, I'm mixed on it, but I'm not completely the biggest fan about it. One of the things, I love the nuances that the Dustin Hoffman's character, and I love how Tom Cruise adheres himself to it. It's just those lulls. I get what they're trying to do. I get how you're trying to explain.
It's called good filmmaking.
I don't agree.
I know you like fast edited movies and
That's
stuff.
not necessarily true.
Mm-hmm.
We've sat through slow movies before. It's just the lulls to me, they were too much. On top of that, I couldn't get over the rest of it. But those are my negatives.
Well, that's good that you have some. I don't have many negatives for this movie. I think they made a lot of great choices in the character and stuff. Maybe the romantic in me would have liked to see, without giving away anything, I might have wanted to see a different ending. But I think what I love about movies like this, being a love of storytelling and stuff, is that movies don't automatically have happy endings all the time, but they're not necessarily horrible endings. But I like movies that kind of look like they're going to go into a way that you're going to see magical things happen. But I love when I get knocked to reality to say that they're being realistic with the characters. And sometimes as a movie fan, it's hard because I would like to see amazingly happy endings. I think this is a happy ending, but I guess there's a side of me that wishes it was a better ending. But that's my really only negative. And I love the ending, don't get me wrong. Because I did at the end of the day, I like that the characters stayed true. I don't know if I would have believed it if I got my true happy ending, which you would probably see in a lot of movies now. I wouldn't have bought it, and I think this would be lesser in my heart, because I like that at the end of the day, Raymond was Raymond, Charlie was Charlie, and they both grew from the road trip. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, they don't magically solve all the problems, which all through the movie you could see there is just no way you can change people that much. But sometimes enough of a change is enough of a change. And I think, like, not that I'd want to see a sequel, I like to think there was happy stuff, you know, after the fact.
Yeah,
you know,
please don't reboot this movie, and please don't make a bunch of sequels. It's unnecessary.
No.
I will agree. The ending was very nice, refreshing, because it didn't fall into the regular trope of Hollywood magic. And there's only one other movie that you actually introduced me to that made me feel this way. I was actually a little disappointed, not because of the ending, but disappointed because that's not how the world works. The world does not always end in a fairy tale happy ending for everybody. The only other movie besides that made me feel that way was Blue Valentine. And maybe one day we'll review that, but so far only these two movies have made me feel this way. And it's a good disappointment because I like being surprised. I like not knowing how the movie's going to end, because you always have your tropes. You have the beginning, which is fun and light and blah, 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 blah. We are introduced to the challenge. Then you have the middle. That's the challenge, and then the main characters have to overcome it. Then you have your end, which is you overcome the challenge, and then everybody lives happily ever after. And I like movies that don't follow that. And this is definitely one of them.
And one little thing I want to say that's not a negative anyway, I don't want people to think this is a heavy drama. There is drama in this, but there's a lot of funny moments in this too. A lot of heartwarming moments, a lot of moments that'll make you go, oh my God, I understand what Charlie's going through. I want to go nuts too. There is a lot of humor in this movie, and I like that it's a mix of everything. So now we get to our rating system on a scale of 0 to 5.
Are you sure you want to hear it?
Probably not, but you have your rights to have what you say, and I'll respect them still.
2.5. I gave it a 2.5.
So you really didn't like it.
I enjoyed it.
2.5? That's just
I enjoyed it. You know,
half and half.
The movies I have not enjoyed have been low ones or 1.5, but no, I enjoyed it. 2.5.
Well, you can mock me for the rest of your life. This is a 5-star movie to me. I absolutely love the movie. I related with Charlie Babbitt's character. I related with Raymond's character, and I have nothing in common with either of them. But I felt all the characters in this movie. This is one of those ones, I told you I'm going to give out 5 stars. This is one of those movies. So Hate me for that all you want.
I would never hate you. Just as much as you respect me, I respect you. We can't agree on every movie.
I
That's
know.
what makes us so unique.
I just won't show you my favorites anymore.
Gosh. You gotta be open to criticism.
I know, and I am.
You criticized my favorite movie.
I also think I gave it a higher number, but that's fine.
Well, this wasn't your number one favorite movie.
No. But anyhow, that was our review of Rain Man. As always, don't listen to us, or listen to us, but go out and make your own assessments by checking it out. Even if you've seen it before, it's a great one to revisit. If you've never seen it before, check it out. It might be your style. It's almost like a big budget indie film.
It's a great way to put it. It is a big budget indie film. And as always, you know you like us not agreeing on things, so always comment, who do you think is more correct in this? Is it me? Or is it him? Or is it a little bit of both? Did we both have valid points? Make sure you subscribe so that the next time we disagree, you'll be the first to know. Thanks so much for joining us. We will see you guys next time.
I hear the word of the Lord.